Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Fires upfield into the end zone. It is caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown! INDY!
A 43-point night for Tyrese Halliburton.
How do you like that, partner?
Renew now, drives in low, throws up a shot. It doesn't go. Tipped up and in by Anthony Leal. Indiana takes the lead.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Now, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hey, everybody, welcome aboard. Another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you on this beautiful Tuesday. I hope you are doing fine as dandy. Great show on tap today. We hope they all are, but I'm positive this one is. Right before we even get started, Mike DeCourcy will join us as usual, in addition to Trent Sisley joining us in Indiana and Purdue Target, amongst many, many others, and is competing in the Junior-Senior All-Stars. Devonte Green, the former Hoosier, all part of the Indiana TBT team. Yeah, that's easy for you to say. Joins us as well. So we've got a loaded program up for you today. Looking very much forward to it. Thanks for everyone joining us, no matter how and where you are. Our great friends down on 97.7 ESPN The Ref in Evansville. 1230, 104 Point FM, the voice of the region, WJOB, and 1380 The Fan, Fort Wayne's only sports station. And make sure you stay tuned for the Sports Rush right after we're done here today. If you're up in Fort Wayne, the great city, one of the greatest sports cities in Indiana. Hope everybody doing well. Like I said, plenty to get to and talk about. The IU basketball players are on campus. I think Purdue players are on campus. IU football moving students to the north end. We'll talk about that. Last week, a jury found in a lawsuit by a former Penn State football doctor who had sued James Franklin, and I'm sure the university, amongst other things, but a jury found in his favor for $5.25 million. And the doctor was claiming that James Franklin was standing in the way of his orders of saying a player was not ready to go back and play. And so that's pretty significant for a school that's had a ton of trouble in different types of things, off the court or off the field type of things. I'm sure you know what I mean. But don't want to forget Indiana Sports Beat Radio, powered by Andy Moore Honda. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com and the best in new and used vehicles. And, of course, our friends down in Southern Indiana at Reynolds Family Dentistry. You got to keep up with that championship smile and go see our friend Dr. J there in Sellersburg. He'll get you set up. He takes care of the entire – well, no, I shouldn't say the entire. That's a good place for you to go, John. But most of the ISB staff. No Todd Larry goes there as well to see Dr. J. He does a fantastic job. So how's everybody doing? What are you looking forward to? This is All-Star Week. Today's Tuesday. So tomorrow night, the juniors will play the seniors in a game at Kokomo. And that is something I'm looking forward to. This junior class, there's something, man. So let's see how much they can keep rolling. But it's not just Trent Sisley who will join us. It's not just Braylon Mullins, who is obviously having a great summer. Desmond Briscoe, Mark Zachary. There are many others on that Indiana elite team that are Malachi Moreno lives in Kentucky, but and others. But man, they've got a pretty good team. So hopefully we'll talk to Trent about the possibility of winning the 3 SSB title as that comes up a little later down in Rock Hill, South Carolina. How's everybody doing? What are your plans for the week? What are you looking forward to? Anyone going to any of the basketball games? At the end of the week, of course, you've got the series, the Indiana-Kentucky series that will take place Friday in Lexington and Saturday at Gamebridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. So plenty to go on that side of things as well. And it's just another busy week. Then things will finally slow down a tick. The Pangos is going on out west, but there are a few quote unquote targets out there for Indiana, but that's just some guy. That just means guys that they've given offers to. The only Indiana resident or native that I am aware of that's out there is Xavier Robinson from Lawrence North. And we wish him the best while he's out there as well. Tana says Malachi sounds like a great IU name, Children of the Corn. Yeah, not bad. How's everybody else doing? Hitting us up on the Andy Moore Honda hotline. We appreciate you, especially great people like Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Realty. If you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you definitely need Cheryl Sizemore and her 2 decades of experience. It could be the difference between getting the home you want or not. And she can definitely hook you up with a mortgage broker, whatever you need. She is a woman that takes care of everything from start to finish. So if that's what you're in need of, she'll get it done for you. Make sure you reach out to Cheryl. We appreciate having great people like Cheryl being a part of our sponsor network. And speaking of which, if you're a business, small business, definitely always use sponsors here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Just reach out to me. Let me know. It might shock you how cost effective that it really is in the reach that we have. What are some of the things that you guys like to do during the summer? John, a lot of people like to get away from sports a bit, but I like to take a break, but getting completely away is not. I mean, we've got the College World Series is not as started yet, but the NCAA tournament is going on. Shout out to Evansville as they roll on.
That's right. They were a 4 seed in their regional, but their reward for winning is playing the number 1 seed Tennessee Volunteers in Knoxville.
Yeah, the overall number 1 seed in Knoxville. As we saw how difficult that was going to be. The Hoosiers not only just getting knocked off by Knoxville, but also Southern Miss. But they have a beautiful baseball stadium down there. But, of course, most of those Southeastern Conference schools have nice baseball stadiums. Yeah. But that thing was full of it's not burnt. Texas is burnt orange. What do you call that? Rocky Top orange.
Yeah, this is a good question. I don't know what style of orange it is, but Evansville, I mean, I don't really know what to expect for them against Tennessee specifically, but if I remember correctly, I believe they beat Indiana in a midweek game earlier in the season. So there's no reason if they don't stay hot, or if they do stay hot, they can't at least challenge them and maybe win a game and make it a 3-game series. So we'll have to see what happens with that one.
Yeah, at this stage, you can't count anybody out, but teams like Tennessee are loaded with really good pitching, but Evansville did not get to where they are by stumbling and bumbling and backing into it. Like you said, they were a number 4 seed. You want to talk about a difficult thing to do. I haven't looked through all of the brackets, but I would imagine they are probably the only 4 seed to be able to come out of a regional. That's tough.
Yeah, and I'm looking back at Indiana's schedule. Yeah, so back in back in April, Evansville traveled to Bloomington and knocked off the Hoosiers 5-4. So they are no stranger to defeating Power 5 competition.
Yeah, and well, if you're at this level, there's no doubt. And
again, it was a midweek game. You have to take that into consideration. You're not facing the best of the pitching staff whenever you're playing those midweek games, but nonetheless, shout out to the Purple Aces for getting it done and making a super regional.
And speaking of Evansville, I believe that is it Evansville Memorial who has made the semi-state in baseball as well down there in Evansville. Need to look around. I'll have to check out the entire state bracket as well. There's baseball going on everywhere, that's good. It's the time for it, unless you're in Little League, and that comes later. I was thinking last night, man, I loved playing baseball, but I was never a great hitter, and that drove me nuts. But I'm always fascinated by the guys that can look at a 97-mile-an-hour pitch and discern whether or not, it's a fastball coming or it's a curveball coming. You have to pick up, there are certain cues that you're taught to, not in my case, not soon enough, that you're caught to pick up, to rotation of the ball and things like that, and go on. But good hitters amaze me, because you've got 60 feet 6 inches that ball is traveling from the mound to the plate at that velocity. And you have to be able to pick it up, determine whether or not it's a fastball, curveball, whatever, because of the dimension of where it will be going. If it's a curveball, it's going to be, moving in this direction. Sliders are going to be moving away from you. Was a splitter that moves in. But to be able to pick all that up that quickly and hit the ball, it's amazing.
When I was a kid, I played baseball up until the different leagues. When you're moving up, there's before you have T-ball, the machine pitch, and then once you move up to or away from machine pitch, it's kid pitch. And I loved baseball up until I got to the point to where and I don't even remember what the age group was that you started doing this. I guess maybe it was over 10 or 11 years old, I believe. But once I started playing with the kids pitching at you, and they're not very good at it, and they're hitting you every couple of times, I was like, this isn't as fun as it used to be. And so I started investing more time in other sports, and that was when I dropped baseball off. So, hey, it happens to the best of us, right?
Yeah, hey, I used to love getting hit. It doesn't bother me. You just turn the shoulder into it, and protect yourself.
And I wasn't very tough back then. I could openly admit that. I loved playing sports, but I did not like getting hit.
You're a tough guy now?
I'm tougher than I was. I couldn't beat anybody up. I know that, but I know that I could withstand more than I used to be able to.
I did not bother me to get hit because get me on base, baby, because I love to steal bases, things like that. But hey, they say a walk's as good as a hit. A hit's as good as a hit batter. Same diff. So. Lots of baseball coming up, man. Whether you're talking about in the high school here in Indiana, it is well underway. They're in the semi-state bracket. The NCAA baseball super regionals will be taking place. Trying to see if I can get this thing to pop up, but where all there's going to be taking place. But the NCAA does a terrible job with their layouts of things, but we'll go through all that later in the week. But looking forward to it. Brian says that Pete Rose says the easiest place to hit was the big leagues because he saw the same pitchers over and over and they were around the plate. Well, yeah, but he's not just your average hitter. If I recall, he leads the Major League Baseball in all-time hits with 4,000 plus. So those guys, they have a knack. Tana said he used to have a knuckleball in high school. but 30 years in the kitchen work destroyed his hands, and he can barely throw the ball anymore. Well, I understand that. But, yeah, the knuckleball. I never had to face a knuckleball. Man, those things – watch the old Major League. There are hardly any knuckleballers. It's not something that is taught much, but you want to talk about a funky pitch, man. There was no control really on a knuckleball. They just wanted to get it in the vicinity because it would kind of move in different ways. Not where a curveball is curving down and in, or down and toward the plate, depending on what side of the plate you're standing on. But they had the same movement at least. Knuckleballs, man, nothing was the same. And if you'll remember, most catchers who would catch knuckleball pitchers would get a catcher's mitt like one size larger than their regular catcher's mitts just to catch those. Tana says, well, I lost that. It's hard to throw a knuckleball with velocity. Yeah, it's hard to throw a knuckleball. Yeah, that's another thing. They weren't very fast. You want to talk about some hilarious stuff? Go back and watch older films or clips of guys throwing these 82-mile-an-hour knuckleballs that pale in comparison to these 98-mile-an-hour heaters. Guys are looking like idiots swinging 2 feet over the ball because you don't know where it's going. Hey, we got lots more coming up here on this beautiful Tuesday, and Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News and Big Ten Network joins us next. We're back with that and more, brought to you by Autograph app. Autograph, where real fans get unreal rewards, the first app to track and reward fans for loving what they love most, turning passion into access and experiences. Download the Autograph app in either Apple App Store or Google Play today. Autograph, where unhinged fandom meets unreal rewards. Just go to either those downloads, or you can go to link.ag.fan/ISB media. That's the important part. Back with Mike right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market.
Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, John. What's going on?
What's going
Hello,
on? Right.
Michael. How are you, sir?
I am well. How are you?
Oh, I'm just doing peachy.
Awesome.
What is new in the Three Rivers area?
I believe Shohei Ohtani is coming tonight. Coming to town tonight. People are excited.
John, can you name the Three Rivers?
Aha.
Is the Allegheny River one of them?
That is?
That's the one that I keep forgetting.
Is one of them the Ohio?
That's
Yes.
two?
You're not going to
Let's
get this
see.
one.
I
Don't-
probably
and don't
won't
you
get
be
the third
cheating.
one. No, I'm not. I won't cheat.
Well, the Monongahela.
Yeah, I don't know what I would guess for the third one, so I'm not sure.
The Monongahela.
Which is
Yeah,
the
there's no
important
way.
one, by the way.
Of course it is.
Because that's
Why?
because that's where I'm from. That I'm from the Mon Valley.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Very, very interesting. I love the fact that's one of the coolest names in all of sports. Three Rivers Stadium. It was, golly, I love some of the old Candlestick Park. I mean, come on, man. These are great, great stadium names, and now it's replaced with Charco or Cinzano or whatever corporate name they stick on there, but Candlestick and Three Rivers and Riverfront.
I will say, having been to all three of those buildings, that the names were better than the buildings.
I never had the opportunity to go to those first two. The Riverfront, the old Riverfront, the old cookie cutters of the early 70s. That Philadelphia, was it Veterans? Was it
Veterans Stadium, Atlanta Fulton County Stadium.
Was that a cookie cutter as well?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
And by cookie cutter people, we mean they're all virtually the same stadium, just a round stadium that was multi-purpose. But
Yes.
Cincinnati had turf, and it's right on the Ohio River, which means humidity on top of turf, which is like hell on top of hell. It's like hot.
Oh, Busch Stadium was one of those too, buddy.
Oh, it's right. I did go to the old Busch Stadium, but to see a football game. The old St. Louis Cardinals and Neil Lomax.
Wow.
Come back from 3 touchdowns down in the fourth quarter to beat the vaunted Dallas Cowboys.
Nice.
Yeah, we were on a big friends trip.
Here we go, guys. Wasn't keeping track of time.
This segment is brought to you by the Chop Shop, home of the Indiana football and men's basketball coaches shows. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Tuesday, brought to you by our good friends at Chop Shop. Chop Shop Market and Table, home of the Indiana basketball and football coaches shows, located just north of Bloomington High School, south on South Walnut, is your local meat shop, steakhouse, and caterer. No matter where you live, Chop Shop Market and Table offers a great sit-down dining experience for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You can have the pick of your own steak from the on-site butcher, or have your choice of their incredible daily dinner specials, or some of their incredibly in-house made pastries, which I tried not to flavor, Mike, because of trying to keep an eye on the girlish figure, because they're absolutely delicious. But welcome in, Mike DeCourcy.
I'm delighted to be back. Sorry I missed you guys last week.
Plenty going on always, even though it's kind of slowing down, but there's always some fun stories. And not always fun for the people involved, but one that just kind of it's popping his head is Caitlin Clark. And I was talking about it yesterday just on my own. And then last night late making dinner, and there was a replay of the Pat McAfee show happened to come on just after whatever I was watching. And he went through, that's a whole nother thing. He's got an issue going on with that, which I understand. All right, let me get to that. Pat McAfee, in an attempt to support Caitlin Clark yesterday, or in his program, he went through this litany of things that she is basically leading in every stinking category, whether she has more jersey sales than Antetokounmpo. She's got more jersey sales than many of the NBA players. The increase in attendance, all of the things, TV ratings, all these things and he was comparing to. He's like, well, you think this one's going to be LA? Oh no, it's Caitlin Clark in Indiana again. Oh my! But she's leading in all of this stuff, and yet she seems to be being ostracized by the entire league, which I guess that may not be the right word, but I'm not sure her teammates quite have her back on that foul that she took. Her teammate just kind of casually walked over, where had that been a men's game, I don't know, there may have been some, dude, what are you doing, or something. I don't know, but it's kind of weird.
Well, I'll start by saying I'm not going to blame any of her teammates because I don't know what they saw. You don't necessarily know what they were watching because that play, the foul by Kennedy Carter, happened when one of the reasons it was problematic was that it happened in a period when such a thing wouldn't be expected. I mean, this was not like Angel Reese threw a sort of a backhanded forearm at Caitlin at one point in the game when she clearly had Caitlin blocked out. I mean, Caitlin wasn't getting that rebound, if everybody else fell down. I mean, she was blocked out. It was Angel's rebound if the ball came that way, but Angel couldn't resist throwing that forearm. And now Caitlin made the most of it without a doubt. But that was something you could anticipate because it was activity. This other play by Kennedy Carter was something that developed when I think the ball was either in the process of being taken in or was going to be. And so no one saw it coming, including Caitlin. And that's why it was problematic. So where I'd start with is the play by Kennedy Carter, which was clearly out of line. It wasn't the worst thing we've ever seen, but it was totally unnecessary and was on top of all the other stuff that we've seen from the women's basketball. I don't want to generalize too much, but too many. Let me put it this way, and I think I can say this accurately. Too many in women's basketball look at Caitlin rather than as an opportunity, but as a problem. That it's somehow bad that the public has decided to embrace Caitlin Clark as opposed to anybody else. And what I wrote in my column today or last night was like, we can't predict what the public is going to embrace. Like I compared Sarah McLachlan to Taylor Swift. Sarah McLachlan is a phenomenal musician, has written beautiful songs, has an unbelievable voice, and she has a very devoted following that consistently sells out 5,000-seat arenas. And Taylor Swift is a musical genius who has a lesser voice than Sarah McLachlan and writes great songs, etc. And she consistently sells out 80,000-seat football stadiums. You can't predict where that's going to go. You can't. But when it happens, if you're a business and all of the employees of the WNBA, from the players to the game officials to the league office itself, should be looking at that as an opportunity. We've been waiting for this for a long time. Let's take the best advantage of it. And who in that trio that I just mentioned is doing that? Is it the players? Well, clearly not. They are taking shots at her verbally and physically on the floor. So they're clearly not on board with not necessarily facilitating Caitlin's, not, go stand here and make some shots, but competing cleanly against her is not too much to ask. And then there are the game officials. If they had not called anything on the Kennedy Carter foul, as I said, it was at an odd time, but no, they called it a common foul. So they actually saw it and couldn't figure out that it was a cheap shot. How are you a game official who can see that but not understand it? How did you get in the game if you can't see what that is? And how can you have any inkling of having seen it and not at least say, hey, maybe we should look at that. Maybe we should go over to the monitor and see whether that was a flagrant one. No, they just let the game go on. Now, it was a very close game, and fortunately, the Fever won. And I don't mean fortunately because I want the Fever to win, but fortunately, that play did not have a decisive factor in the game, as did the horrific decision by the NBA game officials on the Jaylen Brown foul against TJ McConnell in what I believe was the final game of the Celtics-Pacers series. There's no way. I don't care what Jaylen Brown's intent was. He slammed TJ McConnell in the face and caused him to fall 5 feet to the ground on his back. That that's a flagrant one. Maybe it's not a flagrant two because you said he didn't really mean to do it. Okay, but it's a flagrant one. So at least this play did not end up deciding the game, but it still was a horrific decision by the WNBA game officials. And then you have the league office, which maybe more than anybody is really botching this, because here we are at this stage of the season. There have been 20 days. Well, now, when I wrote it was 20 days, so I guess it's around 21 or 22 now. But 20 in the first 20 days of the WNBA season, Indiana Fever played 11 games. No one else in the league had played more than 9. And the Las Vegas Aces had played 6. Wow. They sent the Fever on a road trip for 3 games in 4 days that went all the way to Seattle, LA, Vegas, back to Indy. I mean, it's absurd. You have to be like, you have to be blindfolded and just picking names out of a hat to put a schedule together that badly. But that's how badly the WNBA on the whole, from the league officials to the game officials to the players, are botching the entry of Caitlin Clark into their league. As happened with Tiger Woods when he entered the PGA Tour around 96, and the money started to go from really good to unbelievable. The WNBA money isn't even really good right now. It's not great. I mean, Caitlin herself is making what, $80,000 a year, $80,000 and change. The money is not great. It can become great, but you don't get there by bungling the best asset that you've been handed, perhaps in your history.
Yeah, and make no doubt, you have to earn your bones, and I get that. That's the same with anybody in any league. You've got to go through being a rookie. You've got to carry the bags and do whatever they put before you. But it's just weirdly obvious that but it's not just one direction this is coming from. It's not. I'm sure there's some racial element to it, but this is not like this big racial thing. It's a combination of things because there are different groups. The veterans have kind of taken some, not all. I saw positive comments coming from Grenier saying, hey, what they've done is great. I think it's great for the league and it should be celebrated. And there's not enough of that supporting those players or Caitlin Clark rather. And I have not been a Caitlin Clark apologist, but man, it's like, don't kill the golden goose, guys. I mean, this league has to go on. I mean, Taurasi, like I said yesterday, Taurasi and Bird, and those names are not going to be around forever. Some of them are already gone. And you have to bring in a new audience and someone that is bringing in. No one has brought in more eyes than Caitlin Clark, and they can say it's the class, which it is a great class with Angel Reese, and I'm drawing a blank on the other lady that is a part of that, but it is a really good class. But I don't care if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark, it would certainly get a bump, but not what it's getting, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, the others weren't. The other rookies were not in college drawing record television audiences. Caitlin was, and again, I'm only pointing out that when you have a phenomenon, the reason it's called a phenomenon is because no one can really explain it. And you can say that Caitlin plays audaciously with her passing and her shooting and all of that, and that plays into it, and it does. But she just captured the moment, and you can embrace that or you can fight against it. And too many in the women's basketball community have been fighting against it. And you mentioned the racial element, and I will agree with you that it isn't non-existent. But the player whose record she broke at when she was at Iowa, the scoring record that she broke, Kelsey Plum, is the same race. And that didn't make it didn't mitigate the negativity that Caitlin faced as she pursued that record. The various snide comments that were made by other coaches in women's basketball, in college women's basketball, as Caitlin mounted that charge on Kelsey Plum. It's not just about that. It may not even be majority about that. I think it's just as simple as jealousy. I really do. I think it comes down to this simple question, Jim: why her? Why not us? You know, why weren't you here before when I was doing special things on the floor?
Yeah.
Well, because people weren't. That's just the way it is. It's when the Beatles came along, like they completely changed popular music. They expanded the audience in ways that no one before them had. But you can't, were they great? Heck yeah, their music's lasted 60 years. But it wasn't just the greatness of the music that did that. It was they were the moment. And that's what Caitlin is for whatever reason. And you can embrace that or you can try to obstruct it. And too many in the women's basketball structure have tried to obstruct it. I wrote about this back in February. I thought maybe people would back off a little bit, but instead, what's happened since is people have escalated it. It escalated the closer she got to the records that she broke, and the closer she got to another Final Four, and then to the WNBA draft, and now to activity into the WNBA.
And then, of course, last thing yesterday on Pat McAfee, in his attempt to be supportive of Caitlin Clark, who has been on his show, and of course his shot in Indianapolis, he laid out just list after list of what she is done and doing, and over players from Los Angeles, TV ratings, over players from Chicago and Los Angeles and New York, the first, second, and third media markets in the country, and all of these things. And at the end, he said at the end of the day, there's one white, and he used the B word, and boy, people have come out of the woodwork on that. And I have some understanding of it, but if you were watching it or listening to it, you know that was used in a kind of a locker room way,
well,
not to be degrading.
It wasn't, but it also was. It was insensitive and it was inappropriate. He clearly is a supporter of Caitlin's, and so he wasn't using that term to be negative. But he shouldn't use that term in any circumstance applying to a woman. That it's totally inappropriate. And not defensible in that sense. And let's remember the modifier for the noun was totally unnecessary as well, because it's not. I don't buy that it's just about that. I don't buy that in any way, that it's just about the fact that she's Caucasian. I don't think that is the principal driver of her popularity. I'm not buying that. It's what she happens to be, but I don't buy that that's the principal driver of her popularity. I think that diminishes her accomplishments too much. Not when the most popular basketball player in the history of the planet is black, Michael Jordan.
I was going to say, it sure did not interfere with Michael Jordan's unbelievable popularity across all color lines.
No, so it's not about that. I mean, MJ was that moment as well. Even after Magic and Bird, MJ changed the game. I remember his rookie year. I'm old enough to remember that, and was writing then. And I remember talking at the Pittsburgh Press about going up to Cleveland to cover that, how people were just completely electrified by what he was doing as he transitioned to the NBA. So I think that when you're a professional communicator, you have to know better how to deliver your words. And I think in that case, he completely fumbled.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I thought she may come out with a tweet or something that says, "Hey, peeps, I understand that you're upset. I know, Pat, I know that he meant that in a supportive way and blah, 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 blah." But she's kind of staying out of that. She has enough to deal with as it is. So we'll see what happens with him in ESPN with all the calls. I don't know if anything happens to him. He's paid a lot of money to draw the eyes that he draws, but we shall see. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News with us. We've got more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Back with that, brought to you by our friends down in Southern Indiana. Bubba's 33, located right off of I-65 on Veterans Parkway. Pizza, burgers, beer, great place to watch Caitlin Clark or anything else, the NCAA baseball, which is going on as well. Back right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
If you're looking for I was going to bring up the I mentioned it earlier, Mike, but the lawsuit that the doctor won against James Franklin at Penn State.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I was away when that happened. I don't really know much about that.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about it. I'm just, the fact that he won was a little, I'm like, so what does that do for a coach going into a year when you lose that kind of a large lawsuit?
Mike, is the humidity just as bad up in Pittsburgh as it is in southern Indiana and Kentucky?
Rivers, what do you think?
I figured with the water it probably would be, but I didn't know if the location, like the more northern part of it, of the country. I mean, I guess it's not really northern, but in comparison to where we're at.
No, it gets humid. It does for sure. But we can be, because of the hills, buffeted against the worst snowstorms. But then again, I was in Indy for 10 years, and how many do we have? Like 4 or 5 the whole time. So maybe everybody's getting buffeted against the snowstorms these days, or at least up north.
Yeah, that's weird. When I was a kid, man, we got some humdingers.
Yeah, I feel like down in my neck of the woods, we haven't had any significant amount of snow in at least 10 years. I mean, we get some every year, but it's never been
right
like a detrimental amount where it shuts the city down.
Right. Yeah, I thought that there would be more of that when I moved to Indy, and we didn't have to deal with it that often.
All right, Jimbo, you got about 10 seconds.
APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
This segment is brought to you by Freethink Apparel. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Kind of nice out there today, but I think we're going to at least possibly see some thunderstorms in central Indiana. We shall see. Don't forget, brought to you by our friends at Freethink Apparel. Whether you need 24 T-shirts for your upcoming family reunion or 200 for this summer's baseball or softball leagues, Freethink Apparel meets your printing needs. Their team of industry experts work with you to design a professional-looking sales-generating web store for your custom-designed apparel or promotional merchandise. From large corporations to small businesses, high school sports teams, national accounts, Freethink Apparel delivers no matter where you are. Visit freethinkapparel.com today and get printing. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News and Big Ten Network with us. Mike, how's the transition back to the land of Three Rivers been for you?
It's been great. It's gone very well. Was able to attend some events at my alma mater, which I have not had the opportunity to do very often, Point Park University. I have not gotten a chance. I've been back a few times, but not really. I said to one person at an event over the weekend that I would have been there regardless, but I would have had to drive 6 hours before. Now I was just able to drive 25 minutes. So that was nice. Seeing a lot of family and all that. And I'm sure it'll get interesting around as Steelers training camp picks up. They were in OTAs. I think mini camp starts soon, possibly this week, possibly next. I think it should be an interesting season for them as well.
I'm sure that all of that going to be the shorter drives are just always a lovely thing to have, which there's nothing better than leaving a game and knowing that, oh, I've got 20 minutes to go, and other people are going 2.5 hours. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Last week, a story finalized, I guess, when a jury delivered what was called a stunning verdict in a fired football doctor's trial, in which he won $5.25 million against James Franklin, the Penn State coach. And basically, it was this goes back through the annals of time. Coaches wanting players back to be ready. And this was like, what's the movie with Jamie Foxx, Any Given Sunday? James Woods was not this kind of a doctor. And there was Matthew Modine was this kind of doctor, was trying to say no, and he's not ready to go, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know that this has ever happened, but a $5.25 million verdict against James Franklin. And I'm wondering, what does that mean for any football coach or coach period when that kind of a verdict comes down? I mean, you're going into the season. I'm like, you would think that there is a lot of fallout, but I haven't seen a ton of fallout yet.
I mean, the trial, as far as I'm aware, was not widely covered. I did not see anything about it during the week or as it was progressing. I had no awareness of it until even after the verdict. I had no awareness until one of my bosses at Sporting News brought it to my attention. I don't know anything about this case, to be frank, other than the 5.25 that you mentioned, and the name of the defendant, so to speak, James Franklin. I don't know anything about it, but I do know that in recent years, coaches have been encouraged to be less actively involved in the medical treatment of their players. That we even see in some cases athletes, especially at the professional level, we see athletes seek out their own the medical opinions from unaffiliated physicians, and often will undergo the treatment outside the realm of the team enterprise because they trust it more. Because the outside the team enterprise, there's no vested interest in their return to play. Obviously, the athletes want to return to play, but they want to return to play on the ideal schedule. Whether and I'm not saying that team doctors don't do that. I have a friend who was a team doctor who would never in a million years have put the interests of getting the player back on the field ahead of that player's medical care. He was a team physician for a professional team and a college team, and I know what his integrity was. Is because he retired. Now he's back to being a doctor again, and he would never have done that. But I can't say that's never happened in college or professional sports, that the interest of returning the player to action superseded the individual's long-term or even short-term health. I can't say that never happened. So I do think that that's a reason why we've seen coaches encouraged to be less involved. And I don't know anything about what happened at Penn State. So I don't know whether or not Franklin interfered or didn't interfere or anything. I have no idea. All I know is he was sued. He was the verdict was $5.25 million. That's all I know about that. But I do know that generally across sports, coaches and managers have been encouraged to be less actively involved and leave it to the medical people. And you will hear them say on many occasions now, Jim, I leave that to the medical people, because it is, it's a much better default position. Injuries are a problem for coaches and their continued employment and all of that. There are coaches who've been fired because players got hurt on their watch when they needed them to win the games that they needed to win to save their jobs. I don't think there's any question about that. But that's part of sports.
Absolutely. And Indiana fans have seen that close to home with when Kevin Wilson was at Indiana, Mike Leach, when who was no longer with us, but he was also those things were kind of lobbed his way. It's not like this is something new. This has been going on since the dawn of time. And as a matter of fact, if you were to look back at what was the movie Junction Boys that they made about
Bear Bryant?
Bear Bryant. Good Lord, it was like a camp of craziness of what those guys went through. Even when I was in high school, playing, you'll get water when I'm thirsty. That was you're gonna run until I get tired. I mean, heard that a lot, and they meant it. So things have changed a lot in those days. A lot of it from learning, and but it's not like sometimes some people have to be pushed. There's a fine line, and so I don't know. I don't have greater in-depth details either. So it is usually you don't see that come to the point to where a doctor actually wins, and I think that's the scary thing for Penn State. But maybe it's not, because, like I said, boy, I sure have not heard much fallout from that, and which is a little surprising, because it's not like we're in the middle of the NBA. Well, we are still in the NBA playoffs, but with only 2 teams left. It's not like we're in the middle of the college basketball crossover of football and all of that going on. So a little surprising.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm not. It may have been the venue where the case was happening, but it was not widely. As I said, I did not see anything about that case until well after it had been decided. So I think that the fact that it wasn't deeply covered maybe led to fewer people having it as a conversation point.
It didn't have anything to do with sex, Mike.
Good point.
I mean, seriously, had that been part of it, it would have been all over everything. And I'm not downplaying one or the other. I'm just saying, had that been the case, boy, we'd have known every single thing about every single person involved. But what's up next for you, sir?
Gosh, I am working on a long project about soccer that'll come out, I think, about 2 weeks from today. So I'm working on that. We published today a column, an article that I wrote. Today is the day that Grant Wall's collection, his wife and friends, published the book World Class, a collection of Grant Wall's best work as a Sports Illustrated writer, as well as his individual work on his Substack. We lost Grant about 18 months ago. A good friend of mine.
He was attending was it the World Cup? Where was he?
It was the World Cup. I believe it was a quarterfinal game. I know Argentina was involved in the game. He had a great affinity for Argentina. I think it was Argentina, Netherlands, as a matter of fact. And he had a great affinity, did a senior project about Argentina as part of his effort to graduate from Princeton. And so his wife and Alex Wolf and an editor named Mark Mravik, they put together this collection. It's published today. You can get it in bookstores, online, wherever you buy books. And so today we published a piece about why Grant mattered to soccer journalism, to journalism in general, where I talked to 5 prominent soccer writers across the country. To be frank, they would not be soccer writers if it weren't for Grant. They would be journalists. They're all terrific writers. They would and broadcasters. They would be in journalism, but there wouldn't be a soccer genre. A number of people that are able to make a living covering soccer if Grant were not the pioneer that they needed. So they all, I think, have an appreciation of that, how hard Grant fought to have soccer taken seriously as a sport here in the United States, to get it covered seriously, and to do that work. He did it phenomenally well. I look at this book and I look at some of the things he did, and I think, man, I thought I was good. And now I read his stuff and see what he did. And I'm like, maybe I haven't done as much as I thought.
Oh, and then next week, try to remember, we'll talk about the great potential of MLS soccer coming to Indianapolis now that you've moved away.
Of course. Hey, this is true, Jim. I move away from Pittsburgh. They get a new airport and two new stadiums. I move away from Memphis. FedEx Forum comes. I move away from Cincinnati, and the Banks project, which had been discussed for 20 years, finally happens. And then MLS comes there and they build the best soccer stadium in America. So really, what my wife and I should have done was go to the city administrations in all these places and say, pay us to move and your city will blossom. That's how it works.
Absolutely. Mike DeCourcy, the great one from the Sporting News and Big Ten Network. Appreciate you, my friend. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, Jim.
You betcha. Appreciate you. Brought to you by FreeThink. Like I said, FreeThink has got you covered. They do all the printing for you. This is not just shirts and everything else. They can wrap automobiles, take care of businesses, business windows. The things that they can do is mind-boggling when it comes to printing. So make sure you go to freethinkapparel.com today and get printing. We've got more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. I see David L listening in. I think I went to high school with David, if that's who I think it is. We've got more coming up, including Trent Sisley and Devonte Green in the next hour after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market.
If you could send a
I
text
am
to
right
Trent,
now.
I was going to say, like, all I've got is his email.
That doesn't work. Your rent. Need a T there. Are you ready, boss? Your email. Shoot. Link is in your email. And then you can let Trent know that his link is in his email and we're ready for him. Not Trenton. Oh, man. All right. Whew. The lights are on. Oh, come on, dog. Dog. Da, 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 da. No.
Here we go. I'm going to bring him in.
What's up, big man?
Not much.
How are you?
I'm good.
Can we get you to turn using your phone, turn it sideways if it's your phone?
Yeah.
There we go.
Beautiful. Now they all get to see that beautiful face.
I saw you got Larry. Well, let's save that. But John, you have those pictures, right?
I do. Yeah, they're uploaded in here.
Those are pretty cool pictures. We'll show those in a minute. How you like wearing that number 33? That's not your normal. What is your normal number?
Nah, I wear 40 in high school and then 12 in AAU. So, yeah, it was different.
All right, here we go, guys. We're coming back from break.
News from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Rebesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details. This segment is brought to you by Hoosier Hanks East. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back on this Tuesday. Thank you so much for being with us. Brought to you by Hoosier Hanks East, located off of College Mall Road in Bloomington. Whether you're visiting the kids in Bloomington or already live here, stop by and visit. They have an array of custom pizzas, strums, baked wings, mac bowls, fresh salads, and so much more. You can dine in, carry out, or have Hank cater your next event. Hoosier Hanks East is a great place to watch the games with your team after the game or use their exclusive party room for your next gathering. Order online at HoosierHanks.com or visit them at 1285 South College Mall Road. Welcome in Trent Sisley, one of the crown jewels of the 2025 class. That has to be a good sounding ring to it.
Yes, sir, for sure.
What heavy lies the crown, speaking of which, but so how much pressure is it being, this class just in and of itself has been talked about so much. And thank you, by the way, for being with us, Trent. So much has been talked about with this class. How much pressure is it being one of those quote unquote crown jewels of this class?
Yeah, I don't think it's too much pressure. Like you said, this is a great class. I've played with most of them. I played just Saturday with them in the All-Star game. So, to play with all of them, it's been good. And it's definitely not too much pressure. So it's been good.
Early on, you guys play a ton of games. You don't get to practice much. Do you guys practice during the downtime? How much practice gets to go in? Because now you've got All-Star Week going on. So I know, you've got other things going on right now before the 3SSB championship rolls around. But it's been kind of a nonstop busy, quote unquote, off season, I guess I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. We practice when we're going in somewhere like Texas or Birmingham or a place like that, we'll practice on the, night we all get in, just to get ready for the weekend.
And of course, you've got a great roster of teammates that running with there at Indiana Elite, undefeated. I've been trying to keep up with the record, but you go to the 3SSB, they've got you guys at one record, but you've won some other games outside of the circuit, I guess. But either one you look at, you guys are undefeated. Is that something you expected or your team expected at this point to still be unbeaten?
Yeah, I don't know if I expected it coming in, it was the first year, switching over to Indiana Elite. So, to be undefeated right now, it's, it's obviously, pretty good. But yeah, I don't know if I expected it, but, I think it's something that, came along with it.
Right now, I mentioned that it's All-Star Week, and so as the juniors, you guys have already played. You beat Kentucky, which that had to be fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We
was Malachi on that team, by the way?
No, he wasn't there. He was in the Adidas Euro camp.
Oh, okay. Just curious, but yeah, gives you a taste of what is coming next year, which of course on the bigger stage of being the seniors, but just getting a taste of this. What's it been like to put that All-Star jersey on? Saw some pictures off of the Instagram account. John, you can put those up if you want, but it has to be just cool to don that jersey because of some of the go back in the annals. Some of the greats of all time wore these jerseys, man, whether it's Larry Bird or whomever. There's a group right there, man. You want to talk about a group of four, man. Desmond Briscoe, Trent himself, Braylon Mullins, and Mark Zachary. That'll get you going anywhere. And then you throw Malachi in that. Whoo, that's a load to handle for these guys. It's probably why you're undefeated.
Yeah, like you said, All-Star Week's been good so far. You know, a lot of the core group plays Indiana Elite with me, so to be able to play with them again, this week has been really easy. It's kind of been the same almost. With Brady, and then we're gonna have Xavier Robinson back on Wednesday, so it's been really great so far.
One of the things that I heard some people mention, whether it was back during the season or whenever, was, well, I don't know if Trent Sisley is tough enough. And I kind of chuckled because I was down at one game when you got busted in the nose. And then there was, I saw had some other pictures where you had a gash over your eye open. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's an issue. You have grown accustomed to, because of playing in high school and have to play out of position a lot, but you've grown accustomed to having to play in the paint with the bigs.
Yeah, for sure. I think that comes along with all the double and triple teams, and just getting beat up a lot. That's one thing I take pride in is trying not to miss any games. Trying to play through injuries. If you can, obviously, but like I said, that's one thing I take pride in is being my availability.
Say hi to Russell for him. It'll make his day. I think he meant to say hi, not hit him, but don't hit him. But yeah. And so the next game with this in the All-Star series comes tomorrow night, and which is bigger, playing the Indiana seniors or playing against the Kentucky All-Stars right now?
I think the Indiana seniors for sure. They're a year older than us. They should have the advantage. Just being a little bit older, and obviously it's in-state kids. We all kind of know them; they know us. So I think definitely playing the Indiana seniors is a bigger game for both of us.
Yeah, how much competition is there, and bragging rights? I mean, juniors don't beat the seniors. I'm sure it has happened. I'd have to look back, but this hasn't been going on forever. But that's not something that normally happens. But you guys, like I said, loaded class, man. What a group of talent. But how much competition is really there?
Yeah. I played with a few of them on Indy Heat. So you kind of know some of them. And then obviously they got Fleury Badunga, guys like that, Jack Benner, just people like that, So obviously there is a lot of competition. It'll be tough, but I do think we can beat them. So it'll be a fun game.
Yeah, I guarantee it's going to be a fun game to watch. And for those of you up around the Kokomo area, or whether you can travel, that's the place to be tomorrow night to check that action out. Next year, obviously, you will most likely be a part of the senior All-Stars and get to go through this process again. How does doing that this year kind of work you in for being ready for this kind of thing next season?
Yeah, I know. I think it kind of gives you a taste of it a little bit, kind of get the experience a little bit. Obviously, you get the jersey too, so that's cool. But I think just playing with the guys, really, like I said, just getting into it a little bit, being able to play the Kentucky guys, which probably play most of them next year again. So really just kind of a start to next year.
And looking for, then you've got, of course, the high school season coming back around for one more run through that. It's kind of a nonstop. When do you get a break? I guess after the 3SSB championship in Rock Hill, which is what, July?
Yeah, it's middle of July, I think.
So do you get a break from mid-July to the school starting, or are you going to be doing visits in between there before school starts?
Yeah, I think I'll probably take most of my visits, maybe late summer, obviously early fall, and then try and make my decision after that. And as far as like break time, rest time goes, might take a week, here and there after the Rock Hill Adidas Championship, but obviously working out every day in the fall, getting ready for the season, and then team workouts start during the fall too. So not much break, but you kind of gotta take breaks here and there, so let your body recuperate.
And the mind, got to let your
Yeah.
mind, because I mean, how much there's, I don't want to say mental stress, but it does wear on you when you play this many games, and you guys go on the road with the Indiana Elite, and you're playing 4, sometimes 5 games in a weekend. And yeah, you're 18 years old, you can handle it, but it's still, it wears on you, man.
Yeah, it wears a little bit, obviously it's good to be home, but traveling's fun, but always being home is always a good thing, stuff like that.
Absolutely. And yourself, Braylon Mullins, Malachi Moreno, all like a trio on that team of India Elite. There are many others, Desmond Briscoe, Mark Zachary, who are great. Let's talk about quickly Mark Zachary. This is a football player. This is a guy that everybody has pegged, and he's already committed to Notre Dame. I'm going to be shocked if he does not, and I want to get him on, but I will be shocked if he does not end up playing for Micah Shrewsbury up there at Notre Dame as well, if football allows him to do that, because he is a hell of a he's a game wrecker. Todd Leary talks about him a lot. He's a game wrecker, man. What a great point guard he is for you guys.
Yeah, he is. He's kind of a late addition to Indiana Elite with us this year, but ever since he joined, he's been he fit right in along with us. He's pass first guy. Plays right away, gets people the ball, but he can also take it himself, score whenever he wants. So great passer. It's just been great to have him.
We've seen as the summer has gone on, yours, Braylon's, Malachi's, everybody for that matter, the elevation of the recruiting. More and more people are not only seeing you, but seeing you guys at a high level. Like I said, you're all undefeated on the 3SSB circuit. That's not easy. You have played a myriad of teams from all over the place, and whether it's been down in Texas, up in Indianapolis, wherever the case may be. So you guys have seen a lot of talent from around the country. How much pressure does that start to put on you guys being undefeated?
Yeah, I don't think it's too much pressure. Obviously, like I said earlier, that wasn't our goal going into the season. Obviously, I think it's obtainable now, being, far into the season with, only a few more events left. Obviously, we're going to play some tough teams in Rock Hill, with some of the best Adidas teams. So I don't think there's too much pressure, if any at all. But, I think it's, a lot of fun to have that, privilege of being undefeated and to obviously be able to towards the end of the season.
Your recruitment as well has been, you're being recruited obviously heavily by Indiana, by Purdue, and by Micah Shrewsbury up at Notre Dame, in addition to Iowa, Michigan State, and many others. Is that fun? And does there come a point to where, okay, it's not fun now? Where's that line?
No, yeah, my recruitment, been pretty good, been pretty fun. It's not been too overwhelming. I haven't really had too many, like 20, 30 schools reaching out at the same time, because, I kind of think Midwest guy, probably stay somewhere, kind of close.
Oh, I've already told many people, I said, he's not leaving the state of Indiana. I said, I have, and this is nothing. I said, personally, I think this is an Indiana-Purdue battle. I said, you can throw Notre Dame in that as well, but that's just my opinion. And I'm not asking you about that, but I've said that. But that's because these are two great programs, obviously. And how cool is it though I can throw Notre Dame into that, but Indiana and Purdue, basketball schools known for it. It's got to be one of the coolest things to be so sought after by both of them.
Yeah, it is. Obviously, like you said, they're both, really good historically basketball programs. I don't know what I'll do, leaving the state. Obviously I haven't narrowed down that possibility yet. But to be recruited by,
Don't be messing with my prediction, man.
both of those, all three of those schools in the state, it's been really cool. Just growing up in the state of Indiana and then being recruited by, the three high major schools here. So, I think it's been really cool so far for me.
Yeah, and also getting to play with guys like Braylon Mullins. Braylon's recruitment has skyrocketed as well. Other people are getting to see his great abilities, and that's another thing about that team that you guys have. Man, you've got Malachi at the center spot, who is a beast. You've got you at that wing that is just able to do multiple things, whether it is shooting from outside, getting inside and banging with guys, bringing the ball up the floor even. And then you've added the great point guard in Mark Zachary, but Braylon Mullins is also, his recruitment has skyrocketed as well. But how do you guys talk about your recruitments individually?
A little bit. Maybe when we're just, chilling at the hotels, in between games, going out to eat, stuff like that. We talk about it a little bit, but I think everybody's starting to, get their own, like you just said, Braylon's kind of blew up this spring, which, obviously the way he shoots it, kind of allows that. And then I think overall he's just a great player. So, we talked about it a little bit.
He reminds you of me shooting it, right?
I guess so.
Yeah, right. And I've asked you this before, so I know the answer, but have you guys talked about the potential of playing together at the next level?
Yeah, we've talked about it a little bit, obviously joked around with it a little bit. I think, we share a few offers, so, we could if we wanted to, but
of course
we haven't
you
talked
could.
about it too much.
Of course you could. Yeah, and you're ready to make your announcement today, right here, live, right?
Not yet.
I'm just kidding, man. I wish you the best of luck tomorrow night. I plan to be there. I'm very legitimately interested to see the results of that game, because I'm like, this is going to be a game, man, and I'm looking. And I know the drive has to be there to win that game. You've already talked about that.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, it should be fun. That's obviously what we're going up there to do, is try and win. So I know they are too, but it'll be a fun game.
Well, we'll get you back on next week after the results and see what has happened, and we'll talk some more.
All right.
Trent Sisley, I appreciate you, my friend, as always. And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night up in Kokomo.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Trent Sisley, the All-State All-Star selection from Heritage Hills High School. And we've got Devonte Green, the former Hoosier, coming up next, who is a part of the all-new Assembly Ball TBT team for Indiana. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Formerly, Trent, you're welcome to stay on and ask Devonte some questions. What's it like to go through? He's been through all these processes. You should do you can do some interviewing. Devonte, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. If you could turn your phone sideways, give us a full. There we go. Oh, you're not on. You're not. It's not on landscape, is it? There, look at him. He knows he's jumping right on there.
Boom.
Do you have a few minutes to stick around, Trent?
I got a few. I gotta get back though to school and work a little kids camp. So
go. What camp are you working?
Just a little feeder camp for our middle schoolers and stuff like that.
Go take care of that, brother. That's more important
All right,
than us.
see ya. Thanks for having me on.
I'll talk to you next week.
All right, bye.
Devonte, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. I'm all right. I can't complain.
Good to see you again. Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you as always.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Where are you these days?
I'm actually in Louisville right now.
No kidding.
Oh, heck yeah. That's where I'm at. Sorry.
Yeah.
You have people there?
Yeah, my girlfriend's from here, so I've been staying here for the last couple months.
I grew up in southern Indiana, right across the bridge there, the Sherman-Minton Bridge.
What part?
I went to Floyd Central High School, which is out, New Albany is right across the left bridge there is Sherman-Minton Bridge.
That's where she's from, actually.
I went to Floyd Central, which is out in the county.
Okay.
Yep, there you go. The cheat code. That's still one of the great you had that, it's a tattoo, right?
Yeah.
Where do you have that?
On the back of my arm.
Yeah,
I remember show here.
That was one of the, I'm like, man, that's a pretty cool, pretty thinking type of tattoo. So have you been working out down in the Ville?
Yes, I have. Yeah. I don't know if you guys know I'm coming off an Achilles tear, so.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I've been rehabbing and stuff. It's been a long journey, but I'm almost at the 1 year mark, so I'm fully back now.
Man,
All right, here we go, guys. Coming back from break in about 20.
2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment free for 90 days, or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
This segment is brought to you by the Fresh Fork in Bloomington. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Thank you so much for being with us. Brought to you by our good friends at Fresh Fork. Fresh Fork, enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle with the Fresh Fork. Chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep, proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Order online and let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at the freshforkonline.com. Use promo code radio20 and get $20 off your first offer. Please welcome Devonte Green, the former previous standout at Indiana. Couldn't get all my words out. Devonte Green. Devonte, it's been a couple of years since we've had you on, but man, it's great to see you. In the break we were talking about, I was going to say, how are things going? How are things going in general? I know you mentioned you're down in Louisville, not too far from us, working out and doing things of that nature. How's life been?
Life's been all right. I can't complain. I recently dealt with an injury. I tore my Achilles last summer, so I've just been rehabbing from that. But it's given me a chance to enjoy life outside of basketball a bit. So I can't complain too much about it.
It's funny how sometimes weird things like that do bring some other positives into your life. But man, you want to talk about the absolute worst injury in all of sports, in all of anything in life, as far as an injury goes, maybe a torn Achilles. It's a killer. Were you watching by chance the NFL game with Aaron Rodgers' debut when he goes down, and were you already dealing with yours at the time?
Yeah, I've seen the game, and it had just happened to me maybe 2-3 months before that. So I knew honestly instantly what happened, and like you said, it's not a fun injury to have.
And it's strange that I won't say it happens to a lot of athletes, but the fact that it happens to athletes when they're so finely tuned, and there's no warning. It's like boom, it just happens.
Yeah.
Which I guess that could be said for, you know, an MCL or ACL or things like that. But this is a less likely thing to have happen. But man, when it does, it's hell. And I haven't had to go through it. It's weird. I remember there was a couple times I could feel something kind of popping down there. And you want to talk about getting your attention in a real fast. I'm like, oh my God, I just stopped walking. How hard has it been for you to rehab that back and come back from that?
I mean, just like any recovering process, it's tough. You deal with a lot of mental battles, and it's a long recovery. It's not, 3 months and you're back. This is the longest I've ever taken off of basketball in my entire life since I've started playing. So it's been tough mentally and even physically. Little things that you're used to doing with ease, just complicated and can be frustrating. But it's been all right. Like I can't complain because my situation has been a lot better than I would say most people who tear their Achilles. So I feel like I have a lot of good people around me supporting and a good staff working with me. So I can't complain too much about it.
And I'm assuming this is a multiple hour a day thing that you have to do for rehab on an Achilles, but I don't know. What is the rehab process like for that?
Well, for me, I try to attack it as much as I can because I'm trying to get back to playing as soon as possible. So I'm easily 3 to 4 hours a day, 4 times a week, sometimes more. That's not including the basketball side of things. I just started getting back into basketball a few months ago, but the first 5 months, not really getting on the court and doing basketball things, it was tough. It was real tough for me.
Are you expecting to be at pretty close to, I don't want to say 100%. I won't use that, but back to power when the TBT rolls around?
Yeah, for sure. I'm already at 100%. If not 100, I'd say about 95%. I have no pain in Achilles. I'm back to moving the way I'm used to moving, and not really dealing with no issues with it. So, knock on wood, but hopefully it stays that way up into the TBT.
Yeah, I know that Indiana fans are stoked about the fact that Indiana finally has a TBT team. This is something that's been talked about. Hell, I've talked about it a lot. A shout out again to our friend Christian Watford, who is one of the guys that spearheaded this. I know he and Derek last year tried to work on that, but it started to come together, and he, quote unquote, he's the GM. We had him on a while back. He's GMing it. But how did this process go? Who did you hear from? And what was your reaction when you first were asked?
I actually didn't find out until I seen it on Twitter.
Hey, you're like, hey, what about me, man?
Yeah, people started adding me and was like, oh, there's a TBT. Because they asked me the last two or 3 years, but they've been trying to get it together, and it just, fell through. So once I quoted the tweet, when I seen it, they reached out and we kind of talked a little bit about it, told them about they was like, we haven't reached out because we heard about your injury. We didn't know where you were in that process. And once we sat and talked for a little bit, they was like, okay, well, we'd love to have you join this team, obviously. So that's kind of how that went.
And it's a great cross section of guys. It has to be something fun to look forward to just for the competition of it. And this tournament is cool as hell. I love it. But of getting to play with guys like Jawan Morgan, Yogi Ferrell, Troy Williams, a cross section of guys that did not what Jawan did, but didn't really cross over your playing time. Miller Kopp is one that didn't. Did you guys? Didn't play together. So, and am I missing anybody right now?
No, that's it for now. I'm pretty sure.
So a cool cross section, that's got to be fun. I know it's going to be fun for Indiana fans, and the fact that there is a team from Purdue and Butler in this thing, and being played at Hinkle Fieldhouse. Have you ever played in Hinkle Fieldhouse?
I don't think so. We played against Butler, but I think that was in Indy. I think that was in the Pacers Stadium. So yeah, I've never played there.
Yeah, that was at the old Crossroads Classic. And
Yeah,
Hinkle, where were you from originally? I can't remember.
New York.
So Hinkle Fieldhouse, of course, if you watch the movie Hoosiers, not only is that where it was shot, but that's because that's where those games were always played. Have you been to it yet?
No. Nope.
It's a unique setting. It looks like from the outside this long building, but the court goes across the building. It's a pretty cool setup, but it is a old facility that is very, very iconic. And that in of itself, you're going to have an Indiana team, a Butler team, a Purdue team. Notre Dame gets one, and you've got the old Crossroads Classic going again. But we don't want to talk about that. That's gone now. What have you been doing before you hurt your Achilles?
I was playing in Europe. I was in Sweden, and I had a really good year. We won the championship. I won MVP of the championship.
Congratulations!
Thank you. And yeah, I mean, I had a really good year.
Well, that has to be incredible. I know that Jordan Hulls, before coming back from Germany 2 years ago now, was still playing. And as a matter of fact, he was at the top of his game. He was a season off of being MVP also over there in his league. Are you looking forward to being able to get back over to that league?
Yeah, that's the plan right now.
Playing in Sweden's got to be pretty cool. Basketball's taken you to some great places. Where's the best place that you've ever basketball's taken you?
I'd probably say I like Sweden a lot. Only thing I would say that I didn't like was the weather. It was really cold.
Cold,
really,
man. It's cold.
So honestly, I would say Greece because I mean it's a beautiful place, and the food is the best food I've ever had. So Greece is probably at the top of my list.
Very cool. Any guys that you play with that you knew from either the college game or any place else?
Yeah. I played against what's his name? I want to say his last name is Cohen. Ant Cohen from Maryland.
Oh,
I ran into him in Greece. We played against each other though. We wasn't on the same team. So, but it was honestly a couple guys that I knew from just playing basketball. Maybe not college, but like somewhere along the lines down the road in Europe.
And where you're playing, is it the same with a limit of 2 Americans on a team, which seems to be a prevalent thing?
Yeah, it depends on the country. Sometimes, most of the time, it's 4. It's 4 or imports. Not always Americans. Sometimes they're like Canadian or something. But most of the teams I played on has been 4 Americans.
That's just got to be a blast being able to do something you love for a living and do it in a place that takes you to see things that most people don't get to see.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's a unique experience. It's probably not for everybody, I would say. It's you got to adapt to a new country, a new style of living and different language. The language barrier plays a part sometimes, and sometimes you're by yourself 9-10 months at a time. So it could be a struggle, but if it's something you can manage, something you like to do, like me, I like traveling and I'm good with adapting to different situations like that, then it can be really fun.
Getting back to the TBT, and I mentioned that Butler's going to have a team, Purdue has a team. This is like their second or third year of having a team. How much, I know the fans want to hear that, it's just like it was, but how much not the competition, but of wanting to beat the Purdue team or the Butler team because it's Purdue or because it's Butler, or is it just about winning?
It's a little bit of both. I think it's going to be
good answer.
Of course, we're going to go hard. We got something to prove when there's another Indiana team on the other side of the court. But at the end of the day, we're still competing for $1 million. So we're probably going to want to compete like that every game, regardless.
Yeah. The fact that this is winner take all, do you like that, or would you at least like it to be first and second place, which I think it should be? I don't think it would take away from anything for paying two places, because I think that the runner-up, man, they deserve something, dude. You get to the title, you deserve something.
I mean,
and
I
think
like
Christian said it used to. Christian said it used to play $2 million.
Yeah, it did used to be $2 million.
Why'd they go down?
I don't know. I would think they're making more money off this thing as it goes on. But I mean, I like the way it's set up. I mean, it's just like, I mean, if you make it, you can go through every team and make it to the national championship. They're not going to give you a trophy.
Bingo. Bingo. Hey, I'd love to talk to you about the Indiana program and all of that. Need to take a quick break if you've got a few more minutes to stick around.
Yeah.
Devonte Green, former Indiana Hoosier, with us right now, brought to you by Boost Fundraising. If you know of anyone needing a fundraiser, Boost Fundraising offers the fastest and most opportunistic way to raise money. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member, free team branded promo gift shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all, whether it's sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com. Be sure to enter the promo code COYLE to receive a discounted fundraiser. And let's not forget to talk about the Indiana TV team is looking for sponsors, I'm sure still. We'll talk about that with Devonte Green when we come back.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
We need sponsors. You guys need sponsors still, right?
I think so.
You're
I'm
like,
really
man,
sure,
I got nothing to do with that. I'm rehabbing and working.
Yeah, I'm not sure, honestly. I think I would assume we do.
Absolutely, yes.
Because that was always the problem in the last couple of years.
People see, and people don't understand. Even with like programs like ours or whatever, they're like, oh, they want I don't want to say want, or kind of begun to expect everything for free, and life doesn't work that way, man. There are light bills or fuel bills. There's all kinds of bills. Everybody's got bills. And to put that kind of thing together of bringing, how many guys will there ultimately be on the team? 10?
Probably, maybe even less, honestly.
But to bring all those guys together, it takes money, man.
Yeah, no, it's not something you can do on your own. Just by yourself or with a couple people helping. It takes a whole community to put something like this together.
I will say the name is pretty damn cool. Assembly Ball.
Yeah, I like the name.
Whoever came up with that did a good deal. I wonder. They probably won't. I was going to say Indiana should donate some candy stripes to you guys.
They're trying to get it implemented into the jerseys we wear.
Oh wow. Nice. Yeah. Sell the patches. Oh, they do. They have patches on the jerseys they can sell. There's I remember talking to Christian about it. I need to get him back on to talk about that so they can get that ready, man. When are you all I'll ask this again, but when do you report for quote unquote camp or whatever?
It's only like a week before the tournament, maybe.
Okay. And that's in like after July starts, like the second week of July or something.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds about right.
What is the season like? Your season, what does it run?
It's like September. Well, if you're counting training camp, it's like even late August sometimes to like May.
So
all right, here we go, guys.
Pretty much like it is here. Everything you need to make a gourmet meal at home, or pick out a tomahawk steak or a grouper fillet and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Chop Shop Market and Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
This segment is brought to you by the Ugly Grouper. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday, brought to you by our friends at the Ugly Grouper, the place to be down on Anna Maria Island, Florida. No matter if you're already there or will be, it's the place to be. They have your favorite craft beers, cocktails, along with live music every day, and it's family friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. Go visit the Ugly Grouper on Anna Maria Island, Florida. Tell them we sent you. TheUglyGrouper.com for more information. Devonte Green, the former Hoosier, with us as we are talking about the upcoming TBT team, Assembly Ball for Indiana. Purdue has a team in this region, as well as Butler, that will be played at Hinkle Fieldhouse. I don't know why the finals are not played in Indy. I mean, I'm kind of wondering why, because I'm thinking that where is the championship?
That's a good question.
Yeah, John Boy, look that up for me if you wouldn't mind. But Indianapolis that's where they should hold the championship. I mean, just from a crowd standpoint, I think it would draw no matter who's in it. But boy, I'm expecting the games at Hinkle to draw pretty daggone well. You're going to have plenty of former Purdue players, Butler players, IU players. That's never happened before. So it's a first. John Boy?
It looks like the finals and the semifinals will be played in Philadelphia.
Who cares about, man, nobody cares about Philadelphia. They're all about football and why would you play that Indy? It needs to be an Indy. But we'll see. Ross says he's got him some ticks for the Hinkle Fieldhouse games. So good to see that those tickets are already being bought. So congratulations to them. I mentioned, or I asked you in the break, how your season, your pro season goes pretty much like the season does here, whether it's college, about the same time, or pro season here from August through May.
Yeah, it's about the same.
We talked about the places where you've been able to play and where you've enjoyed. What was it like living in Greece and just playing basketball?
It's just very different. A lot of people in the area I was didn't speak English. Majority of people, I would say, didn't speak English. Yeah, so you have to find your way around sometimes, not knowing. You have to use a translator, or you're in the grocery store, all these products you've never seen. You got to translate every single product to know what you're getting just to make a meal sometimes. It's a big adjustment.
I would have thought the Greeks would have been a little bit more educated. I'm just kidding. No, but that had to be wonderful. Since you're on the halfway around the world, I'm sure you don't get a chance to keep up with college basketball during the year, or do you get to see any games, or are you reading about it on social media?
Yeah, I catch a couple when I can, especially like if it's tournament games. I try to catch pretty much every one, but I do keep up in the socials with what's going on with the team and the program, and just in college basketball in general. I really don't, honestly, I don't watch outside of the Big Ten, but unless it's like a big time game, ranked game or something like that. But the time zone thing is usually really late where I'm at when the games come on, or really early. So it's tough.
Yeah, is it like a 7 or 8 hour time difference?
Yeah, it depends where you are. It's like usually 7 to 9 hours.
Yeah, you were a little bit further around the bend. Let's see. You were at Indiana from 2020 to what, 2022?
16 to 2020.
Boy, you made it just in the nick of time, didn't you? Man, the House versus NCAA lawsuit with the name, image, likeness. We haven't talked about that, but it goes to 2016 and forward. You slid right into the cat's house on that. Have you looked into that or paid attention to that?
People have sent it to me, but I haven't really. I mean, I don't really know what exactly is like. You have to wait for something to actually happen in order to like apply to that, or what? How does that work?
You're asking the wrong guy, but I will have the guy on that will know that answer Friday. A friend of ours of the show, Michael Mangarelli, a former NCAA attorney. But I don't know how much it's going to mean, but it's going to mean something. It's found money. But can you imagine just playing? I mean, you're going to benefit a little bit, not like these guys are now, but wow. Being so close, that's got to be a little disappointing that it didn't happen a little sooner.
Yeah. It also hurts. It was right after I graduated. You know, they changed all the rules. You get NIL deals and all that. So,
yeah. Had you just 1 year prior to that, had you taken a payment or something, you're booted, and now you're celebrated and are able to do. It's crazy how it went from 0 to 100.
0 to 100, yeah.
But at least there has to be some solace. At least you're not Jordan Hulls, who played from back leaving just before right before then, or Yogi, who left before then. Even Christian Watford. Those guys just missed all that. But man, can you have imagined having played in the era of NIL?
No. I mean, it would have been much different. I'm sure it's changed. It's changed college basketball as a whole, honestly. That, and when you count the transfer portal thing, where you can just play right away, it's a big changes to the college game.
Speaking of that, are you glad that wasn't around though? Because that's the one thing I hate is the fact that athletes can go to 4 different schools. And everybody says, well, a coach can leave. No coach. What coach have you ever heard of that went to 4 different schools in 4 years? That doesn't happen. Leaving once is okay. But if you leave a second time, I'm like, man, you got to sit. Yeah. But they just reached another agreement where there basically are hardly no rules anymore.
Nope. Yeah, it's a free for all out there. You can just, like you said, attend 4 or 5 different schools if you got a COVID year, even especially. So it's crazy.
Yeah, it certainly is. In Indiana now, you've got Mike Woodson, so there's a different regime in place there. In following Indiana, and however you've been able to follow them, what have you seen, and what are you expecting and hoping for the Hoosiers?
I don't know what's going on with their upcoming season. I haven't really kept up too much with it. But I like Woodson. I think he's a good coach, and he knows what he's doing with those guys. And I think the players like him as well. So, that's always important.
Yeah. Are you glad that the ability to transfer at will was not around when you were in college? Not necessarily just for yourself, but for the team you played on, because it can wreck a team like that.
For sure.
Even Duke last year saw 7 guys hit the portal. That's half your team, man.
Yeah. No, it's a crazy rule. I think kind of like you said, I think you should get one. Maybe after one transfer, it's like, all right, now you have to sit if you want to transfer again.
And the fact that so many people like yourself and me think that it's not the way it's going to be, because it's too hard to fight. And the NCAA has lost virtually everything that they've ever fought against. But I'm glad that it wasn't, because to me, you can't ever have great runs of teams. Even UConn, while they won back-to-back national titles, it was not with the same team, which is even more amazing, to be honest with you. They lost 3 guys to the NBA and yet come back and win another national title. But I'm glad you got to play with teammates that were your teammates for the time you were there. There's always additions here and there, but it could not be. I don't think it could be as fun when even as a player, you have to wonder, well, what are we going to be like next year? Because half these guys are probably going to leave.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like it's what I had to learn when I became a pro. Like you're with one team for 1 year, and then next year you might never see some of those guys ever again. So it's more of a business like situation when that rule was added, because it's hard to build chemistry and build relationships with guys that you might only be with for 1 year.
And with these abilities that the athletes now have, I think that there should be some way of at least tying them to whether it's 2 years or whatever, but a multi-year contract that, hey, or here's what you're going to get paid. And first of all, the money that some of these guys are getting, it's crazy. A lot of these guys are making more money than most of our parents have made in a lifetime. It's nuts.
Yeah. No, it's crazy.
Do you talk to any guys that are current players?
I do.
What are your conversations, or just general conversations? Have you talked about NIL or things like that?
I've talked about NIL with a couple of guys, and it's crazy the amount of even if you might not even be the star of your team, and you're still you can still rack in six figures pretty easily, it seems like.
Do you stay in touch with many of your former teammates?
Yeah. Yep.
Who are some of the guys you're talking to?
I still talk to JMO, TB, OG here and there.
How about OG, man? I still will never. I mean, Tom Crean took and still takes a lot of grief here and there, but boy, he sure found OG out of I don't want to say the dustbin, but I will never forget the fact that he went to watch Juwan Morgan, I think, at an event, and OG was not even listed on the player printout, and he's like, "Who's this dude?" And now he's a multi-time. He's a world champion. He's a legit star in the NBA.
Yeah. No, he's been doing his thing. I'm happy for him.
And you've been able to play with a lot of these guys, but getting to play with someone like Yogi Ferrell upcoming, that's going to have to be fun.
Yeah. I never got a chance to, and he's a big name in Indiana, so and we're both guards, so it'll be fun.
Troy Williams, also another one, man. He was you can still see him out on that wing and just doing what he does. How fun is it going to be to play with these guys that are crossing? I mean, we're not talking about back to the Bob Knight era, of course. That would be too long ago, obviously. But to be able to cross over some of these eras and bring that, because that's one of the things. Indiana had Bob Knight as a coach for nearly 3 decades. And then you had some changes. So you lose some continuity of the players of who they played for and who brought them in and that. But this is, to me, a way of bringing some of that together.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. And a lot of them I seen playing like on my visits, or like, when Indiana first offered, I was tuning into all their games. I seen Yogi and Troy playing together, but never got a chance to actually play with them.
I'm glad you're going to get to do that, and we look forward to seeing you up at Hinkle Fieldhouse, along with Uber. Who are any other names you've heard, that potential guys that may be able to join you?
I'm trying to think. No. They announced everybody that they told me would probably be playing.
So how are you filling the rest in? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yourself makes 5. You're going to have to add 5 more players, probably at least 8 to 10. If you've got 8, man, if you've only have 8, man, you've got to be in some shape.
Yeah. It's weird with these things though, because you never know. There's no contracts. You never know who will actually play once they've committed or said they're going to play. You know what I mean? So We'll see. Hopefully we can get close to 10. But if not, I mean, more money for us when we win it, right?
The cheat code will be there, right?
He will. He will be there for sure.
Devonte, I cannot tell you how much of a pleasure it always is, and we're grateful for you to take the time to join us as you have before, and we hope to again. We'll continue to cover this, the TBT, and just to follow your career as you move forward. So you're home until sometime in August, I assume.
Yep.
Well, are you going to be in Bloomington anytime?
I might go. I might try to get some runs up there once they start running for the summertime. So we'll see.
Well, definitely let me know if you're heading this way. We'll get you fed and get you taken care of.
Okay. Yeah. No doubt. Appreciate y'all having me.
Appreciate you, Devonte. Appreciate you, man. Go out and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you, sir. Devonte Green, the former Hoosier, checking in with us, and we're grateful to have him as he will be participating on the Hoosier Ball, or Assembly Ball, rather, TBT team coming up here in July at Hinkle Fieldhouse. Big thanks to Mike DeCourcy, Trent Sisley, a potential future Hoosier, as well as Devonte, the former Hoosier as well. Big thanks to John, the producer, for keeping us between the white lines. And most importantly, each and every one of you. Without you, we have no reason to be here. And until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.